the crime statistics for the 3rd District, and this is Adams Morgan right here. And these are cars being stolen. This is this symbol right here is cars being stolen. And these purple triangles, which there are a lot of, these are burglaries.
The Chief of Police of the District of Columbia, Charles Ramsey.
During the first 10 days of after September 11th, the District of Columbia experienced a 24% decrease in crime. Beginning on September 11th, and it lasted for approximately 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks. We were at what we would call level 3 in our department, which is our highest state of alert. We had officers on 12-hour shifts. We had days off canceled. We had CDU, or civil disturbance units, platoons formed up, which we were in the process of doing anyway, because at the time, if you recall, we were gearing up for IMF World Bank. So it's absolutely true that people were taking off PSAs, CDU platoons formed up, all those kinds of things. Absolutely true. In that time, we were in a state of crisis. We pulled it back as soon as we could, which was approximately 2 weeks later, 10 days to 2 weeks. Nobody really took advantage of the situation initially. However, it didn't take them long to recover, because about 10 days after that, we started seeing a steady increase, especially in 2 categories. Homicides had been running 30% under last year up to that time. But we have had about 60 murders since September 11th. Tremendous spike in homicides.
Burglary and robbery have gone up 175% and I think 150% respectively. And then regarding the number of troops you have, you said you went to level 3. This puts your troops out to guard certain buildings by the federal government. Now we're back to level 1. Why are not the troops flowing back into their respective districts? They have? And yet we're still that many short? This doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, they have, sir. I mean, we're doing what we can to get people into PSAs. You say we're short. I acknowledge that there are some shortages, but I don't think they're severe as you believe.
Basically, I don't see any officers. None whatsoever. So my question to you, where are they? I know that they are not here in the station, but yet they are not in the community.
Our problem is that around meal times, half of the 3rd District is at the Hilton for their free meals. Acting, I should tell you, as the private taxpayer paid security force for the Hilton Hotel. In our neighborhood, we cannot get a policeman, a single policeman, to enforce any traffic laws, any public safety laws in front of the Adams School where we have pre-kindergarten kids.
Why is it that Foot Patrol is not put into problematic areas where there are problems right now that are going out of hand and control? I live in Bloomingdale. I'm Cleopatra Jones. So what is the selection and how is this determined as to where Foot Patrol go versus high crime areas and homicides?
Very good question. I said that Foot Patrol has been established for 311. There isn't an actual Foot Patrol there.
I have a problem with this district in terms of selective policing. Certain areas based upon the income or wealth getting services, opposed to the poor community getting a lack of services but a lot of lip services. So I hope you do look into that regarding the management of the 3rd District Police. And another thing, some of those officers out there don't know how to deal with the public. They don't want to work. They act like it's a burden to do their job.
Someone attempted to break into my garage a week ago, or a week and a half ago, and it was one of 6 such break-ins in my alley in a week period. I called the police. They said that they would send an officer out. They said they had sent an officer out. The officer reported that he came to my location and didn't take a report. When they finally did send an officer out, he refused to take. I mean, he took a report, called it damage to property, when it was obviously an attempted burglary. The reported crimes that you gave at the beginning of the evening, with the exception of the violent crimes, I have no faith in that, because I think a lot of them are unreported because, for the instance where the attempted burglary on my property, was reported as a damage to property.
We were in a meeting on Monday night with 60 people, and those 60 people basically were standing up saying that their crimes were not being reported, that they were basically saying that they were calling and calling to 911 and 311, and those crimes were not being reported. And so I don't even think these are all the crimes that are actually happening in this area.
Okay, my name is Kathleen O'Connor. I'm chief of the 3rd District Community Prosecution Section at the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. Closure rate for the police department means that they've made an arrest. It does not indicate whether or not that case has seen closure. In other words, that does not indicate whether or not that person has been found guilty or not.
Well, first, let's do a little experiment. Please raise your hand if you've been a victim of a crime in the past
Excuse me,
3 months.
We're not going to do
Okay, then let me just ask my question. Because it gets to that point. Crime reports, the crime stats we get here, are based on reports that are completed in their entirety by police officers. The problem is there are a ton of crimes that get called in and officers never get dispatched. So what I would like to suggest is that MPD alter its statistics, the way it reports its statistics, and that it also reports the number of calls for service for each different kind of crime. Because that's the only way you're going to actually reflect the real amount of crime out there. Because I'd argue that a third of the crimes are not making it to reports.
So as of today, by Martha's table, I had number 14 homicides. This is one area. I have more homicides in Precinct 37 and been in there in 21 years. You can check the records. And this is ridiculous for us.
In the 3rd District, this year, the year 2001, there have been 25 homicides. Only 17 of those are still open. That means not closed. That means the murderers are still running around.
Is it going to take another double homicide on 18th Street to get more officers into our PSA, which has had a 150% increase in burglaries compared to this month last year?
Well, let me just say that according to what I was given, there's 17 people assigned to 301.
Can I follow up?
No, you may not. No, you may not.
Why is it he says 11 and my lieutenant says 8 2 days ago?
Next.
Why is that? My lieutenant said 8 2
Excuse
days
me,
ago.
ma'am.
Well, I tell you what, why don't you, ma'am, again, if your
Then
lieutenant
ask
said
you,
8,
ma'am, but
if
right
your
now,
lieutenant
we're
said
gonna
8,
move on.
what that lieutenant needs to do is he needs to give it to commander, they need to look at the worksheets and they need to count together. Because somebody ain't counting right. There's a big difference. Wait a minute now. I'm not throwing stones, but there's a big difference between 8 and 17. Somebody needs to go back to school if they can't get that together. So we'll find out real quick. But let me also tell you this, and this is not throwing rocks at anybody in particular. But one thing that irks me more than anything are people that make excuses as to why they can't do their job instead of figuring out ways they can and use what the hell they got. Because it's only so much that we have to give. Then you come to me and tell me you need more when you've shown me that you can absolutely not do it. This is tough on all of us. I don't like coming to meetings and have people upset.
This officer told me that I should go out and buy a shotgun to protect myself.
Sounds like ours.
This is Officer Jay Taylor. He's apparently assigned to PSA 302. Told me in order to protect myself, I should go out and buy a shotgun. Is that what you recommend, Ramsey?
No, I don't.
No, and that's not what any of us recommend.
Is it legal?
No, it's not illegal. No, it's not.
Well, I don't think there's anybody in this room that thinks that's an appropriate response. So let's be real.
No.
And,
No.
and,